Coming to you from sunny Orlando, Florida, welcome to the Paperstac podcast, where we cover current topics in the note industry, give you tactics for your note business, and talk with industry leaders to make you a better note investor. And now, your hosts, Brett Burky and Rick Allen.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Paperstac podcast. My name is Brett Burky, and this is Rick Allen.
Yep.
That's right.
That's it.
Okay, so if you haven't noticed, I like this shirt. So all 3 podcasts I've been wearing it.
Every day. It's his uniform. It's like Mark Zuckerberg.
That's right.
Same shirt every day.
Yeah.
Or just once.
Actually, I do have a lot of shirts just like this, and I'm so pissed. I had a really nice blue one, and some other nice ones that
It's a t-shirt with pockets.
Yeah, but it's like long and kind of fits good.
Okay.
But I had like a couple of these other ones that they were sitting out in my laundry basket, and I was going to go wash my shoes and bleach, and I dropped the bleach bottle. And bleach shut up out of the air.
Of course you did.
I was so mad. It went boom, and it went like right on my laundry basket. I was like, son of a... I was like, oh my God. So I ruined like 2 nights. I just got them. I barely wore them. And I ruined them both. So now they're gym shirts.
I expect nothing. Yard shirts, doing stuff in the yard.
They're nice shirts though. Like they're like urban cuts type shirts. And so, I mean.
How much are they? Are they expensive?
They're like $30. I haven't bought it anymore just because I'm like.
I don't want to spill bleach on them again.
That sucks. I mean, I told my wife as soon as we get done with all the stuff we're doing in the house, like when we do the closet, I'm going to take all the clothes. I'm just going to put them out and be like, all right, let's go into Goodwill. And here's $2,000 for you, $2,000 for me. Let's go shopping. Just start over. So all that to say, I'm still wearing the same shirt. But okay, so
no worries, man. I don't even have a wash. Well, I have a washing machine, but there's a slit in the little. It's a front load in the boot. So if you do laundry, water spills out. So it's like a year and a half old. That's funny. Turn like this.
Turn it up.
And so I called Whirlpool, and they're like, yeah, this happened in February. And they're like, we'll get you the part in like by the 2nd week of April.
Wow.
So I've been like without a washing machine, and I had to go to the laundromat windows. It's a double-edged sword. I really don't like going there because it's dirty. But it's also like you just throw all your stuff in and you get it out and it's done in 2 hours. Like 6-7 loads of laundry. But then I was just like, this is so stupid. What am I gonna do? I hate going there. We need to do laundry. So I was like, I wonder if there's like a laundry service. And there's this one that's called like Suds and Share or something like that. It's $1 per pound of laundry. And they wash it and fold it and bring it back to you the next day.
$1 per pound.
$1 per pound.
So for you just don't wash dirty sheets or towels.
Yeah.
That's really the only things that are ever like heavy.
Super heavy. So like they go ahead and they take all the laundry, and then the next day they give it back to you. And the first lady we used, it was awesome because she like folds it like it's at Gap. Like all my stuff was like perfectly folded like it was on the Gap counter. And I'm like, or whatever your retailer is of choice. I'm like, whoa, this lady folds like a pro. And then the next lady, she still folded it. It wasn't nearly as good as this lady. So I was just like, so we have laundry service now. And they just come pick it up and then they drop it back off. And I don't have to do anything.
That's awesome.
And for $1 per pound, and you can get same day service, it's $2 per pound there.
Wow.
So $1 per pound, they'll clean all your stuff, wash it, dry it, fold it, and give it back to you. And I was like, you know what? I don't know if I'll ever do laundry again. Because people are like, oh, that's ridiculous. I'm like, do you mow your own lawn?
No.
Why not? If you bought a lawnmower, how much gas would you use a month to do it? A gallon?
Yeah, maybe.
How much you pay to get your lawn cut? $100? So you'd save $97. Why don't you do it? Well, I don't do it because I can use that time to do stuff I want to do.
It's Florida and hot as hell in the summer.
Right.
Well, they do a way better job.
Well, I got 3.
I could never get that little thing.
I have 3 kids. I have a wife, 3 kids. We've got 5 people in the house. And they all play sports. Mm. So it's like every 2 weekends out of the month, I'm not at home.
And I bet that laundry's all piled up.
It gets piled up if we go anyway. It's just, so it's like, you know what? I mean, I'm not saying I'll never do laundry, but I'm definitely going to utilize this. Be like, hey, we need to have this, and this done. Do we have time? We're just going to go ahead and give it to the laundry people. You literally just leave it on your front porch in a bag or container, and they take it. They'll use their own detergent, or you can give them your detergent if you like your own stuff. So it's like, if I had a pool, I'm jobbing stuff out for the pool. You know what I mean? It's just like, I'm like, laundry.
Saves you money. Saves you time.
Save you time. You know, for me, I don't
keep
care.
Changes in pockets?
Oh shit, that's a good thought.
They're making a lot of money off just.
Oh, my wife loves it because she is always like, she calls it her laundry money, man.
My wife hates it. I'll have a receipt in there. It gets loose and everything turns to like little white pieces of paper. But all right, so let's see here. So
what are we talking about?
Something we have never talked about. There's not a whole lot on the site, but they come.
Site. Huh? Okay. Mystery. Go.
Mystery. They were really hot a number of years ago, and you could buy them for nothing. And
oh, I know what you're talking about now.
It usually comes after a first. It's called a second.
It's a second. Second position leans?
Second position leans. And so we don't ever talk about them. I want to see, why are they attractive? What would attract you to want to buy a second position lean if you're looking at it? Like, what's attractive? I know some of the people out there, like Mike Solis, and how some of the stuff he does, and the strategies he uses, and Tom Bourne, and there's a lot of seconds.
Those are really the guys. Like, I've done a few seconds.
One day I'm gonna get those.
We'll get them. We'll get some people who are really, they live and breathe the seconds position.
Shamanuo.
Yeah. Those guys are really, really good at it. They're a well-oiled machine. But I can tell you a little bit about them and stuff you need to look for, why you might want to buy them.
So let's start with the why. Why would you want to buy a second over a first? And would you buy a second performer? Would you always buy a second non-performer? It always seems like it's a second non-performer.
It just really depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for cash flow, yes. I mean, I would buy a second performer if the numbers work. Usually it's a smaller barrier to entry. If I'm going to buy something that's performing, I want to make sure the first is performing, and I want to make sure we're in an equity position, right?
Explain that.
So the first is 150, the second's 50. I want to make sure the house is worth at least 200. Most likely I'm looking for like a 20% equity spread in there. So like, I want to make sure that the house is, worth 240 or something along those lines, so that there's, if it's bad, if things go awry, at least I know I'm protected.
Right.
So yeah, you can buy seconds for cash flow. The big play was before the real estate market absolutely exploded was people were buying non-performing seconds, and it still happens. There's just not as many of them out there. But there was all these non-performing seconds sitting there.
Right.
And you may have had a first position that started paying.
Right. But
the second, they were just like, well, the first position, they modified it to what the house is probably worth. The second position, you're sitting there like,
what's going on?
They're still underwater if I modify them or anything like that. Well, now the real estate market's gone bananas, so...
Oh, the values are up.
The values are up, so all of a sudden now your second position loan that was kind of like didn't really have any value or wasn't equity protected at all has picked up a lot of equity.
Right.
To the point where you could have been paying on your first forever and not on your second, and now your second is like has got all this equity.
Right.
Now they have to talk to the second position.
Right.
Because the second position can be like, hey, buddy, you haven't been paying.
Yeah.
I'm going to come take your house.
Yeah.
Or you're going to come to the table. And the second position can really play hardball now. They can stick it to you.
I've heard that. So
you have. Let me try to. There's a couple of them that came to mind, but I can't. I don't want to say them as a family podcast. But you kind of got to buy. You got to buy the cojones. You got to buy the cojones, to where it's like, look, hey, if you're not going to go ahead and pay on this, I'm going to foreclose, and I'm going to foreclose to the point where it's going to go to auction, and the first is going to get paid off, and then I'm going to have the house. Mm-hmm. Right? And so they're very motivated to start paying or start working with you. And so you can kind of restructure their loan, take in a healthy down payment. So yeah, there's people that were making they're making good money and stuff off of just doing the seconds.
I heard that. There was a story that someone told me that, I was like, they're almost like, it sounds like ransom. That's really what, I'm like, so wait a second. So with the seconds, it's always like, what's your credit score? And I was like, so why is that so important? Because they're always talking about credit co and things like that. And I'm like, why credit score? No one ever asked that with the first. It's only a seconds thing. And I realized, I know what they're doing. They're making sure they have a really good credit score, equity in their first position, and they're not paying the second position. And what they're basically saying is, look, I will drag you through the mud, destroy your credit, and take your first. You don't come to the table.
Yeah, I mean,
nicely,
it's a lien, so it's probably getting reported. But if they've got decent credit and it hasn't been getting reported, then you have that sort of leverage on them. And you can also look at it and say, listen, now is tough, but before the market was going crazy and the interest rates were remotely low. So before you can be like, look, you're going to need to refinance and pay this all off.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like you need to do that or else.
Wow, yeah, because they could refinance, take the equity in that, and then pay off the second.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you refi the first, and you're paying off the second.
So you're getting the whole. So like that. What I've heard a lot of times is people, they might have the second, they might owe 50, and they bought it for 5 or whatever.
They probably bought it for $5,000. Yeah.
$5,000, and they're like, look, I own your second. I'm gonna foreclose if I need to. Give me you 50, give me 30, and I'll go away.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, you got 30 days. It's like that sounds like ransom. I mean,
it is, but it's like, hey,
but they come up with it. Like, I was like,
yeah, it's like
that's what I was talking. I was like, golly, how much did you make? Like, you made like 30 grand,
25, 30 grand. Just
they paid off way early. They did it like 2 weeks instead of a month.
Yeah.
Like, I made 30 grand in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And he was doing it like all the time too.
Yeah, but the thing is they were also buying those second position loans when they were selling them for like 6 cents on the dollar because they were absolutely useless. They were worthless.
Right, and a lot of them don't pay off. That's the thing. Some don't pay off.
The seconds is definitely a numbers game. Like you're not gonna go do the seconds and think, "Oh, I'm gonna get in there and I'm gonna hit every one." It's more along before. Now listen, now if you bought anything, 3 years ago or more that you were holding and just waiting,
yeah.
You're in a spot now where it's like, hey, I can go ahead and put the screws to people. So the second position's usually low barrier to entry, so that's why some people like them. But it is a numbers game. Rarely are you buying one. You want to buy.
Yeah, you're buying pools of those.
Unless it's a performer, but if it's not a performer, you're buying pools.
Yeah. The hardest part for me with the seconds is you can find all kinds of education on firsts. Seconds, I'm like, there's not a.
It's not a lot, but it's. You also, if you're looking at a second, you want to know. If you're buying a second position loan, you should talk to whoever you're buying it from and say, look, I need to know what's the status of the senior.
Yeah.
You have to know, is it performing? Is it non-performing?
Yeah, because the first is not performing.
What's the balance?
Yeah.
You need to know all that stuff.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And they seem to kind of dried up a little bit. They're not like they used to be.
They're no, because like I said, it's like anybody who was buying seconds was probably throwing the dice, and they were buying them in bulk. And, you might see some retrades now, but most of the stuff over the past 24 months, it's been like, okay, these went from not very valuable. I paid 5, 10, maybe 15 cents on the dollar for them to now I'm going to turn around and resell them and get I'm going to get 60 cents on the dollar for them as a resale with doing nothing, or I'm going to get them to pay me off and make a lot better than that. So
that's interesting. It's interesting. I've heard of somebody having a fourth position.
It's out there.
It's what was his name? Bob. I can't say his last name. It's just like a Z. He's always at note or paper stores. He's an educator, but he has a really funny story about him buying something in fourth position.
His fourth position.
And I was like, that's way back there.
Bold move. Bold move.
Well, cool.
I've seen some third position stuff when we bought, but it was like there was a first, a second, and then there was the county had given or the city had given money to the person to catch them up, and that became a third. So I've seen it. I haven't seen anybody willingly taking down a fourth.
Yeah, I forgot how that worked. I mean, because what the HELOCs are kind of like. There's gonna be what are those? That's not
I mean, those would be like a second or third position,
Right.
but just depending on what you're.
Because you could have a second position on your mortgage, you have a first position mortgage, second position mortgage, and you could have a HELOC based off your first, and then a HELOC maybe even based off your second.
Right.
So you have 4. Like that just sounds like a headache.
That's a lot of work just to pay. So, anyways,
All right. Well, cool. That's seconds. If you have any interest in seconds, we'll try to get some people that are pros on this. Maybe we'll have a round table discussion. Although we don't have a round table, we'll just have people. We'll have people talk. We'll maybe get them on 4 different cameras, and then we can all just chat about seconds. So that's it for this one. We'll see you on the next one.
bye.